Nintendo has a buttload of animal characters. Some appear cute and cuddly, while others wield blasters and fly starships. But no one has asked the question, what are the real-life animals behind these characters? Behind the characters on the Nintendo platform? What inspired them? What's the basis for their creation? Well, today we picked 10 of these characters to go over. Some of them really well known and others not so much. My wife and I did some pretty deep research to figure out which animals these guys were probably based off of. And so today we're going to report our findings to all of you. But I'm going to let you know now what we found and what we had to search. Well, it really wasn't what we expected. Are any of you out there a fan of Sonic? You know, the blue blur. He's so fast you can't see him. He's just blue. The dude with like 3 movies now? Okay, well, honestly, we're not talking about him at all. But we are talking about a character from Sonic Adventure 2. Rouge the Bat. Rouge Rogue? This one's going to be very hard for me. Because every time I see her name, I want to say Rogue because I like X-Men, and her name is not, it's Rouge. Rouge is an anthropomorphic bat that flies around in Sonic Adventure 2, attempting to steal and sabotage throughout the entire game. Though, to be honest with you, I only remember her for one thing. Her high heels. Like, why is this girl walking around in these? But I guess it's okay because she's flying most of the time. But Rouge also worked as a part-time spy for the government. That's right, she was CIA, MI6, MIB. Rouge's character development happened at the same time as Shadow the Hedgehog. You know, the one where Shadow is wielding a gun. That one. That one. Not, yeah. The creators of Sonic Adventure 2 were adding characters to the game to help explore the dichotomy between good and evil. And you'd absolutely see this play out in Sonic Adventure 2. You could literally choose whether you wanted to play the hero or the dark side. I'm gonna play the dark side. And the dark path included Rouge. See, I almost call her Rogue. While alternatively, the light path had Knuckles. And the reason why I bring him up is that he has a very similar moveset to her. At least, I mean, Knuckles isn't parading around in high heels, but he flies and he climbs things. Although it would be kind of funny to see Knuckles in high heels. Dudes, try your stuff. However, the result of her dark path ended with the mercenary jewel hunter just giving up on her own plans and desires and actually helping out Sonic and eventually Shadow. It's almost like thieving and stealing and sabotaging doesn't matter when the world is threatened by a gigantic alien monster from a satellite. Yep. Which I think every character in the dark path actually ends up becoming good in this game, like even including Robotnik. Anyway, it's a fantastic game. It was a lot of fun. So what is this super secret bat agent woman actually based on? What real animal did the creators of Sonic Adventure 2 use to pull inspiration from? Well, let's start with Rouge's skin. She's an all-white bat, and she has some tan parts. Now, these tan parts could definitely just be like creative from the Sonic team. I mean, if you look at a lot of their characters, they kind of like to use tan or skin color to delineate certain aspects of their characters. I mean, the characters are very cool and kind of cartoony. For instance, Sonic has skin parts, at least in the older games. He had like these tan skin parts. And other characters might have like just different colored skin parts, but it's a good way to like delineate things. But this does help us narrow down our research considerably. How many species of bat in the world do you think has white fur? Well, if you guess 6, then you'd be right. There are only 6 species of bat that are white in the entire world. And out of the 6, only 2 have pure white fur. The Honduran white bat and the northern ghost bat. Interestingly, the Honduran white bat actually was considered or dubbed the cutest bat in the world. And while that does sound like a good match for Rogue, see, I just did it. And while that does seem like a good match for Rouge, we don't think that's what she is. We believe that she is a northern ghost bat. My gosh, this thing is incredibly cute, dude. Yeah, in like some pictures, she totally like looks like just like a cotton ball or swab that you would get at the doctor. Like she doesn't look intimidating at all. Northern ghost bats are incredibly small and quick. They actually only weigh 27 grams or 0.9 ounces. Are we really gonna have to delineate grams and ounces in this video? Look, I appreciate in America loves being different, but creating Imperial is just stupid, man. Like, do we really have to go so far as to be like, oh yeah, 12 is now the new number. We're not gonna use that 10, that solid 10, the thing that was really easy to use, you know, that you can measure very easily. And no, we're gonna go with ounces instead. So now if it's like, oh, 20 something grams of something, it's like, oh no, I have to say 0.9 of an ounce. Like, come on, dude. Like, why'd they do this? As I was saying, the northern ghost bat is just like other bats and an extremely agile flyer. And I mean, gosh, just look, holy crap. Dude, its wings are transparent? No. What? Oh, that's awesome, dude. Oh my gosh. Look at that. You can even see its veins in its wings. That's incredible. Now I totally see why Mama Goron wanted to start this video off with this bat. That's amazing. And hey, I guess that's where it gets its name, the Ghost Bat. But speaking of incredibly awesome and marvelous, the northern ghost bat has another really amazing trick up its sleeve. The northern ghost bat, like other bats, uses echolocation to hunt and find flying insects at night. Echolocation is when animals, like bats or dolphins, produce super high-pitched noises. And when those sounds bounce off some yummy food, they hear it as an echo, letting them know which way to fly in order to get that food. What's even crazier is that some bats use their nose to echolocate. Okay, but I have an incredible fact that I'm pretty sure 99% of you do not know about the northern ghost bat. You see, the northern ghost bat, it's been known to sing. Yeah, that's right. These bats are capable of making noises in a range that humans can hear, and they do this when they are hunting. Meaning you could be exploring and walking around in a cave, and then all of a sudden you hear this bat or even a group of these bats start to sing. Look, you could totally disagree with our choice here for Rouge. But honestly, the nimble nature and amazing skills, this thing matches Rouge really well. And sure, it doesn't match one for one, but we're really trying to see what these companies trying to base their characters off of. But if we could say they took inspiration from one animal, any one animal, we would say that the northern ghost bat is an incredible pick for this. Based off of the fur color and the super spy flying skills that this bat has, we are saying that Rouge the Bat from Sonic Adventure 2 is likely somewhat based on the northern ghost bat. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess was released for the Nintendo Wii on November 19th, 2006. And about a month later, on December 11th, 2006, it released for the Nintendo Gamecube. And that was the version I got. And that is one of my most regrettable things in life, is getting rid of that game, because I don't know if you've seen how much a Twilight Princess GameCube copy costs, but it ain't cheap. It was highly successful, and A ton of fans basically said it was Ocarina of Time 2. And many folks go on to say that it is the perfect Zelda formula. But it did something incredibly different from the Ocarina of Time. It did something that many Zelda fans are not a fan of. Some love it, some hate it, but they turned Link into a wolf. That's right, next up on our list, we have a good boy. Some say the best boy. It's Wolf Link. Now, we already broke down some of Wolf Link in our How Many Canines in Zelda Are Actually Real video up there if you're interested. So if you saw that video, thanks so much. But if you haven't, I highly recommend going and checking out the video because there's tons of information on the canines in Zelda. But don't just click off this guy just yet because I have a lot of obscure facts that are not in that video. Also, tell them to subscribe and like if you have not done that already. Nah, I ain't doing that. Here's an interesting fact that I think a lot of folks actually do not recall in The Legend of Zelda. Did you know that it was only through the power of the Triforce that Link actually was turned into a wolf? This little detail can actually just fly over folks' heads. When Link is grabbed by a shadow beast, the mark of the Triforce appears on his hand. The light from the Triforce drives the beast away, and Link falls to the ground. And when he does, though, he transforms into a wolf and passes out. It is revealed a little bit later that anybody who is engulfed in Twilight is normally transformed into a spirit. But Link, with the power of the Triforce, was actually transformed into a wolf instead. Pretty freaking cool. But honestly, I think it was just to give Nintendo an excuse to give Midna a mount. Because she can't be bothered to float around everywhere. Twilight Princess was a much darker version of Zelda from the previous Wind Waker game. And in that, he is transformed to a wolf for a large portion of the game, which a lot of folks do not like. But as he's transformed to a wolf, he gets some really cool powers. He gets a scent ability, which is really cool because it allows him to remember scents and actually track people down. His attacks become a jump and bite attack, which is really cool. And you can also charge up this attack in order to take out many shadow beasts at the same time. Those are all very reasonable, but let's see here. What else can Link do? Okay, that's but how does he okay, maybe not all his abilities are super realistic, but what about his overall appearance? Did Nintendo take inspiration from a real life wolf? The answer is yes. Link looks very similar to a Yukon wolf or an interior Alaskan wolf. The Yukon wolf is one of the largest subspecies of gray wolf in the world, with the average male weighing 124 pounds or 56.3 kilograms. Their fur can range from gray to black, and many of them have black with lighter patches. Crazy enough, these wolves can kill a moose every 5 to 6 days. Bro. Or caribou every 3 days. They are on a schedule. Wolves are incredibly smart and will track larger prey for days. Talk about holding a grudge. Then they will analyze the terrain and other situations and choose the best time to strike when their prey is the most vulnerable. And all this matches Wolf Link really well. The size, color, attack style, all of it just matches him incredibly well. Next up, we have the Koopa Troopas from the Super Mario series. Koopa Troopas are part of a turtle tribe that make up the main villains of the Super Mario series. They work alongside other crazy Koopas like Magic Koopas or Hammer Bros or Parabones. Even that little dude on the cloud that likes to take footage of you in Mario 64. Most Koopas in the Koopa clan are actually under Bowser's control. But there are some peaceful Koopas, like Koopa the Quick in Super Mario 64. Oh yeah, who remembers racing against this guy for the first time in that game? Oddly enough, this race sets the stage for the entire rest of the game. It basically lets you know that this game is not going to be a cakewalk at all. That you're going to have to pull off some pretty crazy stunts from here on forward. Like saving a penguin baby. But let's be honest, you didn't actually save that penguin. We know what you did. No. Anyway, there are a bunch of Koopas, but we were specifically talking about Koopa troopas, like this guy right here. They come in a green or red shell variety, in even a blue shell, but we won't talk about those. So obviously these are turtles, right? But is there a real turtle that actually, well, looks like this? One that Nintendo drew inspiration from? And is there a type of turtle that can be green or red shelled with weird yellow skin? It turns out, yes, there totally is. This is the Chinese box turtle, also known as the yellow margined box turtle or the golden headed turtle. And they can be found in Asia like their alternative names suggest. These turtles have yellowish skin. And while their shells aren't perfectly red or green, they come pretty dang close to the Koopas. Typically their shells are brown with patches of green and yellow and some orange and red sometimes. But as you can see, these patches sometimes take over the entire shell. But here's a super cool fact that many of you probably don't know. It actually turns out that turtles with brighter shell colors, they're babies. Yeah, they're babies. If they have a brighter shell color, that means they're a baby. So when Chinese box turtles have a bright red or even yellow covering most of their body, they're actually fresh hatchlings. And as they age, their colors begin to fade, turning more brown and sometimes dark green. Wait, so when you were playing Super Mario and you run up on one of these Koopas, are you Mario? Are you punching a baby? Chinese box turtles are omnivores, eating a nice variety of worms, snails, slugs, and fruit. In China, these box turtles are actually considered a threatened species. And in Taiwan, they are considered endangered. So Mario may want to think twice when jumping on their heads next time. Ah, yes. King Dedede, the hammer-wielding menace from the Kirby series. He is Kirby's arch nemesis and has appeared in almost every Kirby game. Except for one, he has not appeared in Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Despite being his biggest enemy though, King Dedede often ends up helping Kirby. Now, this guy is just weird. He looks like some kind of bird in a Santa hat. And according to the trophy text in Smash Brothers, he went through rigorous training programs to learn and master the use of inhaled air to fly like Kirby. So he was a bird, but he couldn't fly before? Okay. So the next question is, what kind of bird is this guy? Well, my money was on a penguin. And apparently that's what most people thought as well. Even the Kirby wiki says he's a penguin-like creature. And there are several game references to him being a penguin. Heck, in Kirby's epic yarn game, if you do well enough in King Dedede's boss fight, you will earn a patch called the Penguin Patch. It's like a trophy or something. And my personal favorite, Solid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series, is convinced that King Dedede is a penguin. In Super Smash Bros. Brawl, if a player is playing Snake and fights against Dedede in the Shadow Moses stage and quickly inputs down taunt.
Look at the size of that hammer. That's King Dedede you're fighting, Snake. Dedede? You mean it's not a penguin, Colonel?
He's the king of Dreamland. Well, so he says anyway.
Are you sure he's not a penguin?
No, Snake, apparently not. Because even Nintendo Power, the magazine that a lot of us grew up with, referred to him as a regal eagle. So, here's the question. Is he actually a penguin or is he an eagle? Let's investigate. So if we're going with the penguin theory, does King Dedede match any penguins? Well, here's the thing. There aren't any blue penguins. They don't exist. Nintendo lied to us all. There also aren't any penguins with fully yellow beaks either. And most penguins that do have yellow, they have like yellow plumes or feathers on their head. Okay, so what if we go with the eagle theory? Are there any blue eagles? Now we're talking. Let's check out the Chilean blue eagle. The Chilean blue eagle is a massive bird with a bluish head, white belly, and yellow beak, and even the feet actually match pretty well with King Dedede here. So if King Dedede were based on an eagle, we think it definitely could be this one. These huge eagles are native to South America, and their wingspan can be almost 7 feet or 2 meters, Imperial. In fact, their wings are so large when they're perched, their wings cover up their tail. And that gives them this kind of tailless look, which actually makes them look kind of penguiny. Penguiny. That's not a word I expected to use today. Penguiny. Kind of like it. The Chilean blue eagle's nest is high up on cliffs or in trees in the Andes Mountains. And they eat large prey, including rabbits, skunks, foxes, and even other birds, like burrowing owls and ibis. That's crazy, they actually eat other birds? Good thing Kirby isn't a bird. Wait. Kirby, no! Blue eagles are soaring birds, which means they spend most of their day riding warm air updrafts. This is so they can avoid flapping and expanding energy when they don't need to. As warm air rises, it creates a stream or a current, almost like a stream of water. And soaring birds rise the stream up and up and up in the air, and then let themselves drift down until they can catch the next one to come back up. In this way, the Chilean eagle actually just uses this to fly for literally hours, and the entire time it's just looking for prey on the ground. So, final verdict, we are going to say that King Dedede is probably based on the Chilean blue eagle. One of the saddest things I ever did as a kid was I got rid of my old games. Yeah, I was one of those poor souls that traded his games into, well, this soul sucker of a company. And for what, some shiny new game that's on a disc that's going to eventually break. And that new game is probably not nearly as fun as the old ones that I just traded in. It's one of my biggest regrets because I had an amazing collection. Like I said earlier, I literally had Twilight Princess for the Gamecube. I had Wind Waker as well. But now that I'm older and have kids, I actually start collecting a lot of the old stuff I had again. And a game I picked up very recently has our next character in it. This game was developed by Rare. So immediately people knew that it was a good game because back in those days when Rare made a game, it was like everyone knew that it was just going to be amazing. For those that may not know, Rare is actually the people that are behind Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Country 3. But there's one Rare game that many people have a very soft spot for in their hearts. One that a lot of folks, they treasure. But oddly enough, before we can talk about that character and the game I'm referring to, we're gonna have to talk about another one made by Rare called Diddy Kong's Racing. Banjo is the main character in the game Banjo-Kazooie, but that actually wasn't where he started. This bear actually started as a side character in Diddy Kong Racing. Putting Banjo into Diddy Kong Racing was a way for Rare to actually promote Banjo-Kazooie in his own game, which Banjo-Kazooie in of itself has a lot of history. You see, Banjo-Kazooie did not just start as Banjo-Kazooie. In fact, Banjo wasn't even the main character when the game was being first realized. It was actually called something called Project Dream. And Project Dream was this RPG with a sword-wielding hero, and it went through many, many phases of development, and then went through phases of redevelopment. Project Dream even started on the Super Nintendo and eventually came to the N64. So it was through all those developments and then one of those redevelopments that they decided to go with Banjo, and which would later become one of the side characters in Diddy Kong Racing and then become the main character in Banjo-Kazooie. But here's what's really funny is Banjo is often referred to as a honey bear, which when people refer to him as that, I just can't help but think they've never seen a picture of a honey bear ever in their life. It is so clear that it is not a good match. So then that begs the question, what kind of bear would Banjo be? What was he probably based on if not the honey bear? Because let's be honest, he doesn't look anything like one. Well, he's clearly some sort of brown bear. And what we do know about him is that he was born in the mountains. Therefore, based off of his coloring and coming from the mountains, we think he's probably most based off of the Himalayan brown bear. Himalayan brown bears are omnivores, chowing down everything from grass and berries to small animals and even livestock like goats. Poor goats, geez. Interestingly, the Nepalese have a term to describe Himalayan brown bears. The term is zute, which describes these bears in a way that actually links them to the legend of the Yeti or the abominable snowman. So technically, Banjo could actually be a Yeti in secret. Conspiracy theory? Maybe, but an awesome one for sure. Next up, we have the coolest avian in space, Falco Lombardi from StarFox. Falco was originally the leader of a gang of space hot rodders. I guess hot rodders like as in like people who race. Before becoming StarFox's ace pilot. Falco is an expert pilot, arguably even better than Fox. I mean, I would hope so. Falco is legit a bird, and Fox is, well, a fox. So I would hope a bird is really good at flying. Though maybe Falco wasn't. Maybe he was just really good at instruments. Throughout StarFox's series, he is a rival to Fox, but also is his best friend. Because every good hero needs a cocky sidekick. Despite being an expert pilot, he is rash and often makes stupid mistakes. Oh wow, just like a bird. This often lands him in deadly situations and explains why Fox calls him bird brain most of the time. Interestingly enough, birds as a group are actually incredibly smart. Many birds are capable of completing complex tasks like puzzles. They can even recognize patterns because they have incredible memory. And some birds can even use tools. So maybe Falco is actually smarter than we think. So what kind of bird would Falco be? Well, with a name like Falco, he's gotta be a falcon, right? Right? Well, kinda. Falco's name obviously refers to falcons. The genus Falco is a group of birds including falcons and kestrels, and is the largest genus in the subfamily, which includes the Falconae caracaras. Yeah, caracaras. I can't say words. Further, the StarFox Wiki actually states that Falco looks like a red-throated caracara. But yeah, we entirely disagree with that. Honestly, other than the red on his face, he doesn't look anything like a red-throated caracara. But even so, Falco's biggest detail is his coloration. And I'm not seeing any blue on the red-throated caracara at all. So the question that begs to be asked is, Are there any blue falcons? Well, other than being a military term describing someone who betrays his friends and gets them into trouble, not a Giga Chad thing to do, John. The only thing that we could find is the peregrine falcon. Peregrine falcon is incredibly cool. They are literally the fastest birds in the world, achieving speeds up to 240 miles per hour. But they aren't a great match for Falco though. They aren't really blue, and they don't have any red on their face. And they don't have the really cool crest that Falco has. We think that Falco's crest feathers actually makes him more like a blue jay or a Stellar's jay. Jays are in the corvid family, making them related to crows and ravens. Bet you didn't know that. And the two species of crested jay are in the same genus, but also native to the United States. But what is super cool about blue jays and stellar jays is they are incredibly good at mimicking other birds. Other birds like the red-tailed hawk. What's really cool is they actually mimic these other birds so then they can scare off smaller birds. This way they can keep the food they find for themselves. But obviously blue jays aren't falcons and don't have any red around their eyes. So maybe he's a cross between a blue jay and a red-throated caracara. But actually we think that the red feathers on his face is actually much more similar to something like a common waxbill. Waxbills are small finches native to Africa, but their defining feature is the red patch of feathers around their eyes. It's really crazy because in the end, looking through all these birds, we really could not match Falco to a single bird. His design is incredibly cool. I mean, I really think Falco is one of the best designed Nintendo characters. And we like what Nintendo is putting down here with that design. But we just can't say that he's tied to any one single bird. But hey, he flies fast. So the Falco name, it still tracks. Okay, next up we are jumping back into the Kirby-verse. Kine is one of Kirby's 3 animal friends. Kine made his first appearance in Kirby Dream Land 2 in 1995 and has appeared in almost every Kirby game since. And in 3 games, he actually is a playable character. But, okay, let's just get this out of the way. Kirby rides inside Kine's mouth. I don't know many friends that would let me ride inside their mouths. Bruh. That came out so wrong. Anyway, depending on what power Kirby currently has determines the power that Kine will have. But what kind of animal is Kine? Well, lucky for us, Kine is very easy to match to a real animal. Kine is definitely an ocean sunfish. Ocean sunfish seem to be popular with Nintendo. They pop up in almost every single Nintendo franchise, even including Zelda. If only there was like a channel on YouTube or something that went over the animals in The Legend of Zelda that could, I don't know, possibly tell us about the fish in The Legend of Zelda. If only there was a channel like that. No clue where we could find one. Ocean sunfish are also known as mola mola, and they are huge. They can actually grow up to 10 feet and weigh, this metric is crazy, can weigh 2 tons. That's a lot, dude, for a fish. And even cooler is that they can actually be found around the entire globe in tropical waters. But funny enough, they actually are fairly poor swimmers, and that's because they lack a tail. So that is something that the ocean sunfish and I have in common. Not the tail part, the bad swimming part. I'm not a good swimmer. Okay, but they do have some tricks up their sleeve. Ocean sunfish don't have a swim bladder. Yeah, swim bladders are actually really cool, and I'll explain them here in a second. Instead of a swim bladder, their bones in their bodies are all replaced with cartilage. This makes them float naturally. This means when they want to swim vertically, they don't have to fill up a swim bladder. See, the swim bladder is actually an internal balloon that you let air in and let air out so you can sink or float when you're in the water as a fish. And a lot of fish have this, but the sunfish here doesn't need one. And because of this, the ocean sunfish, this makes them one of the most amazing vertical swimmers in the animal kingdom. Way better compared to other fish, allowing them to be active hunters all the time. Speaking of actively hunting, they eat mostly squid and jellyfish, which are also free to move up and down. But when they aren't hunting, they generally can be found just floating around the surface of the ocean. How many of you know that this Donkey Kong is actually not the Donkey Kong that we are used to today? Can you guess which Kong he actually is, though? Oh, there's like a fuzz on my thing that was very distracting. Well, if you guessed Cranky Kong, you'd be right. Cranky Kong is the grumpy grandpa of the Donkey Kong series. And he is actually the original Donkey Kong from the arcade game that Mario had fought. But even weirder than that fact is the fact that in the official lore, Donkey Kong was originally Mario's pet. And Donkey Kong escaped from his cage and kidnapped Mario's girlfriend, Lady Pauline. Wait, so Mario is jumping on baby turtles, and then he's kidnapping monkeys and keeping them as pets. And then those monkeys escape, cause destruction to city property, and kidnaps people. Dude, Mario, what are you doing, bro? Well, not dating this chick anymore. Luigi, it's all up to you, brother. After Donkey Kong's defeat in the original arcade game, Cranky Kong moved to Donkey Kong Island to start his family with Wrinkly Kong. Aw, that's so nice. So what is Cranky Kong? Well, clearly Donkey Kong is some kind of gorilla, but Cranky is different. Cranky Kong is smaller, has a big white beard, and walks with a cane. Quite different than Donkey Kong, the newer one, not his old self. Don't get it confused. I already am. Wait, I think Mama Goron left me some notes on this. Looks like we have a research note from Mama Goron here. Okay, hear me out. Cranky doesn't have a tail. Cranky Kong doesn't have a tail? He doesn't. Which would make him an ape rather than a monkey. But there are no apes with beards. Except this one. He is also significantly smaller than Donkey Kong. Hey! Oh. We're talking about Cranky Kong. Sorry. Thought we were talking about me for a second. Which puts him in the small ape or normal monkey range. He also walks with a cane, so I'm thinking he lost his tail at some point in battle, and now he can't balance well, which is why he needs a cane, which means we're looking for monkeys with beards. Okay, yeah, I mean, that sounds right. Well, it turns out that facial hair on monkeys is fairly common, but there are only a few species with prominent beards, or mustaches. Right away, we can eliminate the Guian bearded saki. Some of these names are rough, dude. Guianan bearded saki. This is hard. I'm from Appalachia. And the capuchin monkeys, because their beards are black or brown. They don't match Cranky Kong's beard. Now, the Emperor Tamarin have fabulous white mustaches, but again, not really a good match for Cranky Kong's long beard. So that leaves us with only 4 monkeys. The King Colobus, the Debrazas, rollaway monkeys, and lion-tailed macaques. And after going a little back and forth, we decided that Cranky Kong is likely based off the lion-tailed macaque, a bearded monkey with a bad attitude. Lion-tailed macaques are old world monkeys. They are native to India and are very territorial. They primarily eat fruit, and they tend to live in small groups of males and are very shy of humans. Oh, and they're also hierarchical, meaning that 1 or 2 males will be in charge, and they will be highly territorial, which matches the Kong family quite well. I mean, it's like Donkey Kong Island gets invaded, and they immediately start fighting whoever invades the island. I mean, it makes sense. The males have lengthened canine teeth, which they will expose in order to scare off others. They only use those teeth if they have to, though, and to make sure that younger males stay in their place. Talk about cranky. Now let's talk about Animal Crossing's favorite museum director, Blathers. Blathers is the director of the museum, and players can donate specimens to his collection. He will accept insects, fish, fossils, and paintings. Blathers is an intelligent, well-spoken museum curator who absolutely hates bugs, which is hilarious considering his job. Apparently he has entomophobia. But despite this, he is willing to accept insects in his collection. Although his fear of bugs causes him to be disgusted every time a player donates one. Blathers grew up in the city, and right before finishing his PhD, he left his education to go live in the countryside and run a museum. And that doesn't sound like a bad gig to me. Though, I'm just gonna be honest, I think maybe he should have stuck out the PhD and at least got his doctorate like Mama Goron. Then what you do is you move out to Death Mountains in Appalachia. Just, if you hear whistling at night out here, no you didn't. And go back to bed. Anyway, historically owls have been viewed as a symbol of wisdom and knowledge. In Greek mythology, the goddess of wisdom, Athena, was often depicted with an owl. But what kind of owl could Blathers be? Well, clearly he's some kind of horned owl, for sure. There are several species of horned owls in North America, as well as eagle owls in Europe. Their ear tufts, or plumicorns. Plumicorn. What a silly word. Aren't near their ears at all. They're actually used for camouflage and help owls communicate silently by raising and lowering them. So what kind of horned owl is Blathers? While there's several species that fit, the best matched is the great horned owl. These owls are known for their iconic hoot, which you hear in movies a lot. Plus, some of them actually have more of a whitish coloration, just like Blathers. The great horned owl is the largest and most widely distributed owl in the United States, meaning it's all across America. Also, did you know most owls don't actually say hoot? Yeah, when you hear hoot in a movie, it's almost always a great horned owl. Great horned owls are powerful and silent hunters. They can achieve near silent flight because of the texture of their feathers and due to a special comb structure on the edge of their wings. This structure breaks up the air turbulence and absorbs sound. And even though they're typically brown, there are some mutants that have, well, a little bit more white to them. Last up, we have Clawgrip from Super Mario Bros. 2. Clawgrip is a giant crab boss that first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 2. There's also a species of smaller crabs that appear in the Super Mario games that use a very similar sprite to Clawgrip. And in later Super Mario Bros. Games, like Super Mario Advance, we actually get more of Clawgrip's backstory. He may have actually been one of these smaller crabs, normal enemies. But he gets picked up by a series of bubbles in that, and they make him grow to a giant size. Look, man, it's Nintendo. They do weird stuff sometimes. This giant crab somehow attacks by throwing rocks instead of, pinching things. Like, dude, you have your weapons right here. Pinch away, my dude. So is Clawgrip a real animal? Well, he's definitely some sort of land crab, since he lives on a beach. Normally, when we think of land crabs that are red, we first think about fiddler crabs. Fiddler crabs have one gigantic claw and one smaller claw, but Clawgrip's claws are both the same size. So what species might he be? Well, we actually think they might have taken inspiration from the red land crab. Red land crabs are only found on Christmas Island in the Indian Ocean. For most of the year, these crabs are found up in the forest on the island, eating plants and sometimes small dead animals. However, once a year, millions of crabs come together to migrate down to the water to lay their eggs. The time of their migration and mating is closely controlled by the phases of the moon. The males actually migrate first, get to the beach, and then dig burrows there. And then when the females arrive, they will use those burrows after mating to hide and incubate their eggs until they're almost ready to hatch. And on the last quarter of the moon, they release their eggs into the water at high tide. So there you have it. There are 10 characters on the Nintendo platform and the real animals that we believe they are based on. I have to thank Mama Goron again for such amazing research. She comes up with amazing facts like a wizard searching through some old history scrolls. It's quite amazing. If you liked any of these facts today or any of this research, please give this video a like to show her how much you appreciate it. And as I've said in previous videos, Mama Goron is a well-published doctor in ornithology and in animal behavior. She's been doing this kind of thing for a very long time. And let us know down in the comments below, what character or animal surprised you the most? Did we get anything wrong in your opinion? I have to say though, I think my favorite one is Rouge. Not for the reason you think, dirty minds, all of you. I just really like bats. I think bats are incredibly cool. I love the echolocation. And the fact that like the northern ghost bat has freaking transparent wings that we saw, that is just amazing. And hearing that it sings while it hunts with the other bats is just amazing. That's incredibly cool, and what an obscure fact. Anyway guys, I hope you found this video interesting. My name is Papa Goron. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.